The most important thing is your well-being and your health and your recovery. And on behalf of all of us here, something in Simon Cowell's world shifted upon learning of his son's heartbreaking diagnosis. And not even his sharpest critics saw it coming. The man once known for his brutal honesty is now moving quieter, softer, different. He's saying goodbye. But to what or to whom? And why now? What could be so heartbreaking that it changed Simon forever and forced him to let go? To grasp the reason behind Simon's emotional goodbye, let's go back to how it all started. A star's life changed forever. Before the world knew something was wrong, Simon Cowell felt it. But back then, all he had was a gut feeling. He thought he'd seen every twist life could offer. But nothing prepared him for the day he held his son for the first time and felt a fear he couldn't explain. Valentine's Day, 2014. Simon Cowell cradled his newborn son, completely unaware that everything he thought he knew was about to be turned inside out. Everything about that moment looked picture perfect. A luxury hospital room in New York, soft lighting, and Simon Cowell, the man whose glare could shatter dreams on live TV, staring in silence at a 6PB baby wrapped in white. His name, Eric Philip Cowell, a tribute to Simon's late father and maybe the first real sign that the music mogul was about to trade hard edges for soft lullabies. The frown, the sarcasm, the signature eye roll. They were nowhere to be found. What replaced them wasn't just emotion. It was something deeper, almost primal. Pride, fear, and awe. This wasn't just another celebrity dad moment. For a man who once judged the world through studio glass and contract clauses, holding Eric felt like stepping outside the noise, and he liked it. There were no cameras, no critiques, just a man with his family and a new role. One he hadn't held before. The king of pop culture cruelty was now wiping milk stains off designer shirts and Googling baby sleep schedules. In an interview years later, he'd admit, "I didn't know I could love like this." But love doesn't stop life from happening. As Eric grew, so did a strange unease. At first, Simon chalked it up to overthinking. Parenthood is messy. Every kid stumbles. Every parent worries. But everything changed when the patterns began. This time, not tantrums, not tears. It was quiet. Too quiet. By age 2, Eric wasn't saying much. He'd fixate on spinning objects, cover his ears at the sound of applause, or lose himself completely in flickering lights. And Simon, who made a career out of spotting the unusual, couldn't explain any of it, not even to himself. He stopped sleeping. He started researching. He watched other children and compared them. He waited for a moment that would settle his gut, but it never came. Instead, it tightened slowly and daily. Because in the middle of the plush toys and bedtime hugs, something invisible had moved in, and that something would keep growing until it was impossible to ignore. Tiny clues, big worries. By 2016, Eric's silence at age 2 wasn't just strange. It was starting to feel like a warning. Everything Simon once understood about parenting, about predictability, joy, even normal milestones, was quietly slipping through his fingers. One afternoon in their Malibu beach house, sunlight pouring through floor-to-ceiling windows, Simon found Eric kneeling on the carpet, cars lined up in a perfect row. Not racing them or crashing them, just lining. No sound, no laughter, just stillness. And in that stillness, Simon felt the weight of something he couldn't name. This was a man who could read a room in seconds, cut through nerves like a knife, but now he couldn't read his own son. No babbling, no dada, just the soft flutter of hands and the occasional dazed stare at spinning objects. The signs weren't loud, but they were there and they were growing. Imagine an X Factor rap party that winter. The room was electric. Champagne popping, camera flashes going off like fireworks. But Eric suddenly clutched his ears, panic spreading across his face. Simon carried him up instantly, holding him tight and whispering calming words no one could hear over the music. But inside, Simon was wondering, how is it that other kids can dance but Eric can't? Other toddlers clung to toys. Eric fixated on patterns. He only stayed mute, overwhelmed by the flashing lights. Simon told himself he's just shy, but deep down, doubt was creeping in. Back at home, long after the world had gone quiet and Lauren had gone to bed, Simon sat in the glow of his phone screen. Search after search, he was on about why a toddler doesn't talk or why they can be sensitive to sound. The word that kept showing up was autism. Each article he read felt like a mirror. He didn't panic out loud. He couldn't. But something inside him cracked. And from that moment, everything shifted. The man who used to run non-stop meetings until midnight began canceling evening calls. The phone went off at dinner. The workaholic in the sharp suit was now sitting on a nursery floor learning how to speak Eric's silent language. He was worried about his son's future because behind the polished smile, behind the TV lights and million-dollar contracts, Simon Cowell was scared. The signs were adding up fast, and he knew something was coming. And when it finally came, the diagnosis didn't just confirm his fears. It shattered the life he thought he'd built.